Welcome to 2025. This is my first video of the year, and just continuing on with the disc project, which I was talking about late last year, and so I finally found some time to work a bit on it. I've been toying around with different ideas, and so I finally come to a conclusion about the design for the center part, which is it's a bit of a deviation from the original concept of doing a dragon motif. I think that this is a lot more appropriate. So this is roughly the idea that I'm working with. It's just roughly sketched out, and it's based on a piece of jewelry that I saw somebody wearing in a video that I thought was really quite striking, and so I thought I'd incorporate that idea into this the overall motif. And so the concept is that this will get uh, recessed into a niche, and then the surrounding marble will be dished, and then this will be dished on the back, and it'll fit over the curve. And then as I open up the lights, the idea being that it should just look like it's sitting on top of the marble. That's the concept I'm going with. Uh, if it works out, then it'll be quite, I think, quite a stunning finish. So I've never done anything quite like this before, and it's always interesting when you challenge yourself to uh, having an idea and following through with the idea, and uh, it's if you've never seen anything quite like it before, it's basically just an image that you have in your mind, a concept or an idea, and you don't really know exactly how it'll all work out, but you have confidence in your abilities to make it. So that's where I'm at with this, and I've been doing some subtle adjustments, just some refinements, little bits here or there, but probably isn't that noticeable to you. It is to me, but it's all subtle things. So that's the status where I'm at, and I think it's going to be quite interesting. It's a lot of time involved in a piece like this. This is a kind of piece that you do on the side. It's not in any way a production piece, and I don't keep track of how many hours I spend on things. But it's all just, these are things that I do on the side for fun, for my sheer enjoyment, and I guess a little bit of mental sanity, which is something I think everybody can agree is uh, desirable these days. So um, yeah, so that's where I'm. this is the second day, and as you can see, I've mounted the center boss, or the center, yeah, I guess you could call it center boss of this of the disc, and so that's now permanently mounted. Now I'm carving it out. So as you can see, I got started on it yesterday, and I kind of got on a roll. So I didn't really bother filming it. It's just easier. But you can see now the stages that I'm going through, and now this is the test to see if all of my experience pays off. So I've actually never curved this material before, but it's all every material based on the same practice, and I've worked with some pretty crazy, pretty awkward materials over the years. So it's but it is, as soft as this is, it's still crystal. It's still a crystalline material, which makes it potentially challenging, because it does, if pushed in a certain way, have a tendency to chip and flake off because of its crystalline structure. So that's the one thing that you can get overly comfortable with a material and forget the fact that every material has their unique properties, and your approach sometimes has to be altered in order to accommodate them. My intention is to see how thin and delicate I can make this without it falling apart on me. I really want this to be like almost like an open work filigree kind of thing that you'd see in delicate jewelry or lace work. I thought that would be an interesting challenge. I've always been intrigued by that kind of detail, that kind of really pushing a material. There's no point in just doing something when it's easy. I find there's not much point if something is easy. I find the reason has to be a challenge. So as you can see right now, I'm just lightly etching in the work, the pencil lines, and then I'll work them in from all angles. Because if you go ahead and you make something too delicate too early, you end up weakening it to the point that you'll lose it. And because it's crystalline, it's subject to subtle shock. So if you strike it or hit it with the wrong kind of force, you lose a whole section of it. And that's always a challenge with all delicate materials, is understanding how they behave under certain conditions, under certain forces, and how far can you push them before they fail. Once you learn those, then you can really pushing material to its maximum. All the best work is always done by somebody who understands those tolerances. It's really the fun of it is just being able to just take something just before it fails and doing something that's amazing. The nice thing about this material is because it is soft, it can be a fun material for getting very satisfying results, for your effort. Sometimes people get a little turned off from a harder material because it takes a different approach. But there's also the danger of being too comfortable with soft materials, that when you're given a harder challenge, not really having the knowledge of how to harness all the qualities of the hard material, because some hard materials will hold a beautiful edge, which can be a great advantage. As far as hardness goes, this is about as hard as a soft limestone as far as how the tools are behave with it, I guess. And this is they sell it as onyx, but it's technically a calcite. So it's on the hardness scale. I'm not sure what calcite comes up as, but I think it's somewhere in a, I don't know, 3 or a 4, I think, for hardness. So it's fairly soft. It's not quite as soft as a chalk. So you still need a mallet to work this. You couldn't do it just by pushing a chisel. But you can scrape in the details with a good keen edge. So when I get to finishing off the roughing out of these, then I'll go in with a fine drill bit and I'll probe through the back of this. Open up these lights. So these areas here, the deepest parts, those are called lights. And I want to eventually be able to see the marble underneath. So this will really look like open lacework. Every area that I can expose the marble underneath will be my goal. And then that'll really make this look like it's a fine lacework that's applied on top of the marble. That's the intention. Is I want it to look almost like drizzled icing, if you will. So I'll see if I can achieve that look. I don't know, but that's the fun challenge. Is that you just always having that element of not knowing exactly how it's going to work. In worst case scenario, if it ever fails, then I'll just clean it off and start all over. It's one of the nice things about using polyester resins is they are quite friendly and easy enough to reverse. But yet they still have a tremendous grip since they soak into the surface. I was originally going to use the same epoxy that I mounted the ring with, but I think the using what I'm more familiar with is always a safer bet, and I think that the polyester offers some qualities that the other epoxy just doesn't offer. So for as you can see, for drilling, I'm just using a standard cheap multi-purpose drill bit. It's not a masonry bit. Um, for soft materials, especially when it comes to delicate drilling, I actually prefer to use these. They're kind of sacrificial, and I just get these from I think I got a multi-pack from the dollar store, and they're essentially disposable, but they do the job, and they're resharpenable, so you can easily resharpen them. So that's it's a bit of a tip that just because you're dealing with stone, if it's a soft stone, say like a limestone or a soft marble, when it comes to delicate drilling, uh, a standard bit does just fine, and it just kind of basically scrapes its way through. And you don't necessarily need a carbide tip, which carbide tips, when they're really, really sharp, are great, but when they're not, they can have a tendency to overheat. So unless you're using water, it can cause a lot of problems. Whereas with these bits, because it's softer metal, it's easier to resharpen. So it's it's just a little matter of preference, but for soft materials like this, it's what I prefer to use if it's available. But it's got to be a fresh bit or a very sharp bit. So if you've watched up to this point, I just wanted to thank you for watching the video, and just wanted to basically just finish off this video at this point, because it's at this point the pace tends to kind of slow down. Progress is not quite as obvious, so it's kind of tedious to find little detail work, and so I'll spare you the I guess the experience of not watching a whole lot of progress. So I'm going to continue working on this and get it much further along, and then in the next video I'll reveal the possibly the finished product, or at least certainly a lot closer to being finished. And yeah, so we'll see the next video. We'll see what else I have finished. I might very well have the roping details mounted at that point, and maybe I'll started to empty out some of the lights. So again, thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you enjoy this kind of content, to like and subscribe. I'll always appreciate any kind of support when it comes to that. So again, thanks, and see you next time. Bye.